Hare Krishna, welcome to episode 13 of Strengthening Foundation series, and today's topic is Premadhvani. So first we will offer our respects to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna, and then we will continue as usual. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome all of you and thank you for coming and joining this online webinar. I will just test the sound if everything is okay. Hare Krishna, yes. So the sound looks all right. So how many of you devotees actually know what is Premadhvani prayers? So you must have seen the announcement that I have made for this webinar. In that I have mentioned what it is. So basically Premadhvani is the obeisances when we pay after the Arati and Kirtan. Then we all pay our prostrated obeisances to Krishna, and the lead singer or the temple president or the senior devotee, they chant Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So like that all, and the devotees respond with Jai Jai Jai. So this entire thing is called Premadhvani. So what does Premadhvani mean? So prema and dhvani. So prema means love. So as distinguished from kama. Kama means lust. Any bodily relationship in this material world is lust. So prema means connected with Krishna. So that is love. So love and dhvani. Dhvani means sound or the calls of love. So the sound of love. So that is what Premadhvani means, literally. So where does this originate from? Where did it come from? Did we just make it up, or did Prabhupada make it up, or how did it come? So this was written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It looks slightly different from what we chant, but some of the elements are same. So I will just take you there. It's in the kksongs.org. So there is this Geetavalir Premadhvani. So there, it's written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as you can see here, and in the book called Geetavali. So there he says, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Pandit Ki Jai Shri Antardvip Mayapur Simanta Godrum Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritudvip Jahnudvip Modadruma Rudradvipatmaka Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. So this is actually the 9 islands. Navadvip means Dvip means island and Nava means 9. So 9 islands with each of their names mentioned. So Ki Jai. And then Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Vrindavan Radha Kund Yamuna Ji Ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Shri Ganga Ji Ki Jai. Shri Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai. Shri Namhatta Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Gayak Shrota Bhaktavrind Ki Jai. So the Premadhvani that he has composed, and also it is said here, Pare Shashtanga Dandavat. So that Shashtanga means with 8 limbs, 8 parts of the body. That means basically with Dandavat, the whole body flat on the floor. That is for men, and women, they do the half Dandavat. So that is how the position should be when one is chanting this. So what is the translation? With love, prem se, Prem se means with love. Kaho, say with love. So that is the meaning. With love, say all glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Nityananda, Sri Advaita Acharya, Sri Gadadhar Prabhu, Sri Vas Pandit, and all glories to the 9 islands of Navadvip, Simanta, Godruma, Madhyadvip, Koladvip, Ritudvip, Jahnudvip, Modadruma, Rudradvip, Atmaka, and Mayapur. All glories to Sri Sri Radha Krishna, the cowherd boys and cowherd girls, the cows, Govardhan Hill, Vrindavan, Radhakund, and the river Yamuna. All glories to Tulasi Devi, all glories to Ganga Devi, all glories to Surabhi Kunj. Surabhi Kunj is where the Raslila all happened. All glories to the marketplace of the holy name, all glories to Bhakti Devi, the deity of devotional service. And then Gayak, Shrota, and Bhaktivinoda. So all glories to the singers, listeners, and the devotees. And fall and offer humble Dandavat obeisances. So this is what he has composed, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So additional prayers have been added, prayers for the spiritual master and everything. So this is what it looks like now. Premadhvani prayers, short version and long version. There is a short version which we usually do is a short version or somewhere between short and long, some like a middle version. So we will see now. We try to understand what is the meaning of all those words. So the first thing we always chant is Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Here it is Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, but we say Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So now what is the meaning? Jaya means all glories. Om is a representation of Krishna. Pranavah sarva vedeshu. In Krishna in Bhagavad Gita he says I am Om. So every Vedic mantra is preceded by the prefix Om. So Jaya Om Vishnupada. Vishnupada means one who is at the shelter of the lotus feet of Vishnu. That is referring to, this actually is for the spiritual master. So the spiritual master is at the feet of Lord Vishnu or Krishna. And also Pada means the position. That means he is on the same position as Vishnu. Sakshad Hari. Actually Srila Prabhupada explains this. We will look at this. Yeah, here it is. There is a nice source in the Veda base which compiles, somebody has compiled these references. Yeah. Sorry, one second. So again, this software, I'm having trouble dealing with this. So kindly expect some delays. So anyway, I'll see if I can take it out. No, it's not responding. So I'll try to take it out online. I think even that will be slow. So Vishnupada. So we have actually already studied this in the name of Prabhupada. What does Prabhupada mean? But there is another definition also. So we have visited two definitions. Prabhupada means one who is at the feet of Prabhu, the Supreme Prabhu, which is Krishna. Prabhu means master. So the Supreme Master is Krishna, and Prabhupada, Pada means feet. So one who has attained the feet of Krishna. And another meaning is Prabhupada means one at whose feet many Prabhus sit. So many masters sit at his feet. That means he is a master of masters. So that is another meaning of Prabhupada. So originally this word Prabhupada was used for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if you go to Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 10, verse 23. We will see the word Prabhupada. Prabhupada and Vishnupad, it's the same thing. So this software is a bit a problem. Okay, here, let me just take that out. See, I prepare all these texts so that I can show you smoothly, but then when I actually go live, everything is a little bit messed up. So kindly bear with me. So this is in the Madhya Leela chapter 10 text 23, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is addressed as Prabhupada. And there, Srila Prabhupada explains what is the meaning of Prabhupada. So there he explains a very in a third way, in a different way, that Pada means a position. Pada, like a stage or any position is Pada. So Prabhupada means on the same level of Prabhu Krishna. That means, and that's why it is we have learned in the Mangalarti song, Guru Vashtaka song, Sakshad Dharitvena. So he is on the same level, Acharyam Mam Vijaniyan. Krishna also said in the Bhagavatam that consider the Acharya to be myself. So, and you should give him the same respect. So that is the Shastric injunction. So here, काशी मिश्र कहे आमी बड़ भाग्यवान मोरे गृहे प्रभुपादेर हबे अवस्थान. See, Prabhupader means of Prabhupada. So here the word Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sorry, it's painfully slow. I think it will become a little bit more manageable with time. I think in a few minutes or something like that. When Kashi Mishra heard the proposal, he said, I am very fortunate that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord of all Prabhus, will stay at my home. You see, he was referring to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Prabhupada. In this verse, the word Prabhupada is significant. Referring to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is significant. Regarding this, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada comments, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Sri Krishna, and all his servants address him as Prabhupada. This means that there are many Prabhus taking shelter under his lotus feet. The pure Vaishnava is addressed as Prabhu, and this address is an etiquette observed between Vaishnavas. When many Prabhus remain under the shelter of the lotus feet of another Prabhu, the address Prabhupada is given. Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Prabhu are also addressed as Prabhupada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Advaita Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu are all Vishnu Tattva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. Therefore, all living entities are under their lotus feet. Lord Vishnu is the eternal Lord of everyone, and the representative of Lord Vishnu is the Lord's confidential servant. Such a person acts as the spiritual master for neophyte Vaishnavas. Therefore, the spiritual master is as respectable as Sri Krishna Chaitanya or Lord Vishnu himself. For this reason, the spiritual master is addressed as Om Vishnupada or Prabhupada. The Acharya, the spiritual master, is generally respected by others as Shripad, and the initiated Vaishnavas are addressed as Prabhu. Prabhu, Prabhupad and Vishnupad are described in revealed scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat. In this regard, these scriptures present evidence accepted by unalloyed devotees. The Prakrita Sahajiyas are not even worthy of being called Vaishnavas. They think that only caste Goswamis should be called Prabhupada. That means only by family. like born Brahmins like that. They think born Goswamis or born Prabhupads, like family. Such ignorant Sahajiyas call themselves Vaishnava Dasanudas, which means the servant of the Vaishnavas. They call themselves as Vaishnava Dasanudas. However, they are opposed to addressing a pure Vaishnava as Prabhupada. In other words, they are envious of a bona fide spiritual master who is addressed as Prabhupada, and they commit offences by considering a bona fide spiritual master an ordinary human being or a member of a certain caste. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur describes such Sahajiyas as most unfortunate. Because of their misconceptions, they fall into a hellish condition. So now we know what is Prabhupada. Prabhupada, actually, it is reserved for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Panchatattva, and especially Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu. They were addressed as Prabhupada because they are master of all masters. Even such great masters as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu. So they are called Prabhupada, and spiritual master who is acting on their behalf is also called Prabhupada because of the Sakshad Haridvena, Samasta Shastra, that principle of the Guru or Acharyam Mam Vijaniyan. So this is the meaning of Om Vishnupada and Om Jai Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, this is the meaning. So now, let's go to the Premadhvani prayers again. Jaya Om Vishnupada. So that we have understood now. Paramahamsa. Oh, see. Again this. Paramahamsa. So what is this word Paramahamsa means? So there are two words here, Parama and Hamsa. Hamsa means swan, a swan, the bird swan. And Parama means supreme. Supreme swan. What is this? So for those, one second, there is some, okay, there is some discrepancy with the software. Just give me a minute. So, Paramahamsa. So, Hamsa means swan and Parama means supreme. So, supreme swan, what is this? So, there is the devotees are compared to swans and the non-devotees are compared to crows. The swans are always found in the serene lakes with lotus flowers, a very beautiful place. Whereas the crows, they like places, filthy places like garbage. So, they like that. So, the devotees are considered Hamsa or swans because they are always interested in Krishna, which is the best thing, the best association, and they always are attracted to associate with Vaishnavas. So that's why they are called Hamsa. And the crows like garbage, and they like garbage literature, newspapers, magazines, gossip news, everything gossip they like, and novels, everything comes under that. There is a nice verse. I don't know if we can take it out effectively with this software acting very slow. Actually, it's a problem with my computer. Let's see if it works. So there is a nice verse in the first canto, 5th chapter, 10th verse. Nayadvachas chitra padam harer yasho. You see. Okay, kindly give me some time. So that literature which is not glorifying the Lord is considered garbage. And the people who are like crows, they like such literature. There is a place of pilgrimage for crows. Tad Vayasam Tirtham. This doesn't work. I think I'll just use audio. I don't think I can work with this software at the moment. So I'll just go ahead with the audio. So Nayad Vachaschitra Padam Harer Yasho Pragranita Karhichit Tad Vayasam Tirtham Mushanti Manasa Nayatra Hamsa Niramantyusikshaya. So two birds. So one is the swan, one is the crow. So a person who is interested in literature which is not glorifying the Lord, if he is very interested in that, then he is a crow. He is interested in garbage. Whereas the swans, they are always interested in the topics of Krishna, which is like the soothing lake, which is like the beautiful lake. So in this way, devotees are considered Hamsa. Now, Paramahamsa means the supreme swan. Now, apart from the significance that the swan likes such scenic lakes, the swan has also another feature which makes it a very special bird. That is, if you mix milk and water, I mean it's diluted milk, if you put diluted milk in front of the Hamsa, by its beak it will put its beak in the water, in the milk, and he will take out only the milk. He will drink the milk and leave aside the water. We can't do that. But a Hamsa can do, a swan can do that. So in other words, the devotees, they are compared to swan because they take the essence of everything, leaving aside what is not important. Just like, for example, this live stream, for example. This is Facebook. In Facebook, there is so much gossip going on. But we take just the essence and use that feature to spread the holy name and reject the rest. So, everything like that. So, just like we have in our temple, we have a TV screen. So, it has many uses, but we reject all other uses than to just use it for displaying the shlokas that we quote in the class. So, in this way, the devotees just take the essence of everything. Just take the essence. So, that's why they are called Hamsa. Paramahamsa means the supreme swan. He is the best of the devotees. Best of the devotees. That is one meaning. Another meaning is that a sannyasi is a renounced monk, the last stage of the varnashram system, the most advanced stage. In the beginning, especially for man. So, in the beginning, one is a brahmachari, a student life, and then he proceeds to grihastha life, householder life, if he wishes to. Otherwise, he will remain as a brahmachari lifelong. That is called Naishthika brahmachari. So, he can go to grihastha ashram from brahmachari, and from grihastha, then one must proceed to the vanaprastha. That means one retires from material family life and starts to cultivate spiritual life by going to all the holy places. This is usually done in the company of the wife. And then eventually he gives up the company of the wife, gives her back to the family with the children, keeps her in the custody of her children, and then he goes on to take sannyas. So in that sannyas, immediately he cannot do, he does not have complete surrender yet. So he is gradually advancing. So there are 4 stages of sannyas. So the first stage is called Kutichaka. Kutichaka means he has a kutir, a hut, a small cottage at the end of the village, at the outskirts of the village or town where he is from, and he is doing his worship there alone. And because his town people, they will know him, his village people, they will know him. So they understand, okay, this person has taken sannyas and he is no more in the house. He is now in the kutir nearby at the edge of the village. So they will go and give some rice or dal or fruits or flowers or something. So in that way he is maintained by his townspeople. But then as his surrender increases more, then he becomes Bahudaka or Madhukari. Madhukari means who is like the Madhu. Madhu means honey, and Madhukari means those who, like the honeybee, he will take honey from this flower a little bit, a little bit from that flower, a little bit from that flower, a little bit from that flower, and then collects. So he does not depend on one flower. So he travels. The second stage of sannyas, Bahudaka or Madhukari, he will no more stay near the village, because he thinks, because that is actually still a kind of attachment only, like still depending on the townspeople. So, I mean, his own town. And people there know him, so that familiarity is there. So, that is not complete surrender. So, when the surrender evolves, then he will leave that place and then he will go traveling and he will just beg door to door. A little bit, whatever people can give, he will take a little bit, and that's for his maintenance. So, that is Madhukari. Like Shukadeva Goswami, he used to go house to house, and he will just, when the lady in the morning is milking the cow, every house used to have a cow in India. So that is the Vedic culture. So when the lady is milking the cow, then he will wait there, and then she will give, and he will only ask one palm full of milk, and as much as can be held in the palm, he will take that much, he will drink, and that's it. That is his sustenance for the entire day. And then he will preach to the householders, and like that he will just go. So Madhukari is that. So he is begging from door to door, and he is not just begging. In that short while he is there meeting those householders, he will preach to them about Krishna consciousness. And eventually he will become more advanced, then he will start accepting disciples and travels widely, far and wide. He will establish temples, and he will accept disciples, and he travels wide and he writes books. That is called the third stage, Parivrajaka. Vraja means to go. So Parivrajaka, so who travels and preaches widely and makes many disciples and conducts programs for mass preaching. So this is Parivrajaka, and who writes books for the disciples. So, and then fourth stage is Paramahamsa, where he retires even from such preaching. He hands over the preaching to his disciples, and he himself will retire to solitary worship of the Lord, Nirjan Bhajan. This is only possible for advanced, very, very advanced devotees, extremely advanced devotees. So he will just shut himself up from the entire world, and he will just meditate on Krishna by chanting his name and his devotional worship in all different forms. So he will just do alone without any connection with the world. So that is called Paramahamsa stage. Now here we are calling him Paramahamsa because he is the best of the devotees who takes the best essence of everything. He went to America. Everything was just like crazy. They were drug addicts. They were like naked, and they were like not clean, and they were eating meat, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication. Everything was dirty. But Prabhupada took the best out of it. He said he saw that they have a sense of renunciation, because they, although from rich families, these boys and girls, they have renounced their houses. So that's a good quality. He saw the good quality in them, and in that way they were also intelligent. So if when they were presented the good philosophy, they took to it. So he nurtured them in that way. And America is a very rich country. So whatever America does, the whole world follows. So that's why he went to America. Because he was preaching in India for 50 years. Not a single soul joined. He got fed up with Indians. And he saw the Indians all were imitating the Westerners, especially the Americans. Then he went to America. Let me go to America, make them devotees. And when the Indians will see these Americans dancing and chanting, then they will follow. Because anyway they want to follow the Americans. Let them follow in this way. So although it is a bad thing, they are following the Western culture, which is like fallen culture. But he saw it another way. Let me make them devotees and let these people follow them and become devotees also. So you see, everything he is taking the best thing out of everything. So that is Paramahamsa. Only a pure devotee can see like this. So that is Paramahamsa. He is taking the best in everything. And he is also in the topmost stage, pure devotee, who is in constant meditation, like Paramahamsa, the fourth stage of sannyas, where he is in constant meditation and completely shut from the world. But you may say, he is traveling and preaching. Yes. So now here comes important understanding. So, in the three classes of devotees, the third class, second class, and first class. So, the third class devotee is one whose faith is not so strong. He has just begun his process of Krishna consciousness, and under the guidance of the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas, he is progressing himself. And when one becomes a second class devotee, and he becomes a preacher, he becomes firmly convinced and he tries to preach widely. And when one becomes a first class devotee, he doesn't see the need to preach in the sense that he thinks himself as the most fallen. We have read that in the other day during Sikshashtaka discussion. So a pure devotee, the more pure he becomes, he thinks he is the most fallen and everybody else is better than me. So how can you preach to somebody better than you? No, you can't. So in that way, he considers himself most fallen in his humility, and therefore he doesn't preach. He just is absorbed in Krishna's pastimes in that way, in utmost humility. But when so he is called Paramahamsa, and a traveling preacher is called Parivrajaka. So why we say this Paramahamsa and Parivrajaka, both together? That means, so Prabhupada explains in many places in the purports, that a pure devotee, a first class devotee, empowered by Krishna, will voluntarily descend to the second class platform. It does not mean that his consciousness becomes second class, he becomes lesser devotee. No, his consciousness is still Paramahamsa, but he acts like a Parivrajaka, being empowered by Krishna. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahitar Pravartana. Without Krishna's empowerment, one cannot preach. So, that preaching happens on the empowerment of Krishna. So, although he is Paramahamsa at all times, but he descends to external consciousness. He doesn't think, oh, everybody is, of course, he always thinks in his mind, in his heart, he's always thinking everybody is better than me. But he externally acts as a guru and he preaches, okay, this is wrong, this is right. Like, but if you see Prabhupada, sometimes he exhibited that Paramahamsa, every time he's always exhibiting because he's always Krishna conscious, but sometimes especially he exhibited his extreme humility. He referred to his disciples as, he told them that you are all actually, I came to this America, I am a poor old man at the fag end of my life, completely incapable of doing anything. And my Guru Maharaj saw that I had this sincere desire to serve him. And he also saw that I was completely incapable to do it. And therefore he has sent all of you to assist me in this service. And because you are all his representatives, by your mercy, this movement is expanding. You see how he is seeing, I am the most fallen, but my Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has sent all of you, and you are now, by your mercy, he has sent all of you to help me. So in this way he was so humble, but actually the fact is, he is so empowered by his Guru and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna that everyone, all of them actually became devotees because of his mercy, because of his preaching. But he was never thinking like that. He never thought that, oh, because of my great preaching, all of you have become devotees. He never thought that pride is never there in Srila Prabhupada. But sometimes, to teach the disciples what is the position of the spiritual master, he sometimes made statements seemingly filled with pride. But such pride is spiritual pride. It's completely different from material pride. Like for example, one disciple asked Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Prithivite achi jatanagaraadigram, sarvatra prachar hoibe mor naam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted that in the future my holy name will be spread all over in every town and village of the planet. He said this. Then why didn't he himself do it? Because he is God himself. He could have done it. Why he just said it and left it? Then Srila Prabhupada said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left that for me. So you see, there he's mentioning the point that Srila Prabhupada is the one chosen by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread the glories of the holy name. So that is the actual position of Srila Prabhupada. But a disciple may not be intelligent enough to capture that. And he may think the Prabhupada is an ordinary person. So to dispel that misconception, Prabhupada had to say like that. See? So but otherwise he is always in a humble mood. So he is always Paramahamsa, the greatest devotee, first class devotee. But he is acting on the order of Krishna on the second class platform. There is an interesting incident in this connection. There was this Patel. So he is an Indian Gujarati man who always tries to have playful conversations with Srila Prabhupada. He was elderly man, so comparable to the age of Prabhupada. Actually, he was younger than Prabhupada, but he was always used to playfully challenge Prabhupada, and he used to have friendly talks with Prabhupada. So he asked Prabhupada. So when Prabhupada was mentioning this point that second class devotee is a preacher, but the first class devotee is a pure devotee, he doesn't even preach because he thinks everybody as lesser than, everybody equal, and everybody is greater than him. So then Patel was quick to answer. He said, "Oh, that means you are preaching. That means you are not first class devotee. Are you a second class devotee? So you are not seeing everybody equal? Because a preacher doesn't see everybody equal. That is the job of a preacher. If he sees everybody equal, then he cannot preach. Of course, as a soul, he understands that everybody is a soul, and he sees. But what is the difference he sees? Ishvare tad adhineshu. If you go to Canto 11, Chapter 2, Text 47 of Srimad Bhagavatam, I will not try to take it here because it will just get stuck. So I'll just tell it. So Ishvare tad adhineshu balisheshu dvishat sucha prema maitri kripopeksha yaha karoti sa madhyamaha. So he makes distinction. So 4 distinctions. So first is the Lord. So he tries to develop his love for the Lord. And then he sees the devotees. He deals with them differently. He makes friendship with the devotees. And among non-devotees there are 2 classes, the innocent and the envious. To the innocent people he will try to preach and help them in Krishna consciousness and elevate them. And the envious people he will just neglect. So in this way he has to make distinction that I have to deal with devotees in different way, innocent non-devotees in different way, envious non-devotees in different way. So he makes these distinctions. So his behavior is accordingly. It is a correct behavior. But a pure devotee he rises above that. So he sees everybody equal, everybody as devotee, except himself. So when Patel asked Srila Prabhupada that, so you don't see everybody equal, that means you are preaching, you are a preacher. So he playfully asked this to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, my equality is that I don't discriminate whom to distribute the holy name to, whether he is African or Chinese or American or European or Russian or Indian. I don't make a distinction. This is my vision of equality. So this is Srila Prabhupada's greatness. So he is equal to everyone, and at the same time he is also Parivrajaka. So in this way he reconciled Paramahamsa and Parivrajaka in a wonderful way, that he preaches to everybody without discrimination equally. So that is his vision of equality. So in this way a Paramahamsa descends to the Parivrajaka level on the order of Krishna. So that is the meaning of Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka. Now Ashtottara Shata. Ashtottara Shata means, Ashta means 8. Actually there are 3 words here. Ashtottara Shata means 3 words there are. Ashta, Uttara, Shata. Ashta means 8. Uttara means more than, higher than, above. So Ashta Uttara, 8 more than Shata. Shata means 100. 8 more than 100, that means 108. So Ashtottara Shata. Ashta plus Uttara becomes Ashtottara, and then Shata is 100. So Ashtottara Shata is 108. So 108, what is this 108 doing here? So Srila Jiva Goswami explains in the Bhagavat Sandarbha. I think, let me see if I can take this out. This is in the 4th canto, I think, 23rd chapter, verse 18 purport, if I am not wrong. I hope so. So where Srila Prabhupada mentions Oh yeah, here it is actually. Wow, we are right at the correct place. Okay, in pure devotional service. This is from where? This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 3, Text 23. So in the purport, it is mentioned, therefore Shuddha Sattva as described in this verse is the transcendental position which is technically called Vasudeva. So Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam, this is the verse, Canto 4, Chapter 3, Text 23. Now, that means there are three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, ignorance. So when one transcends these three modes, one goes to the Shuddha Sattva, that means pure goodness. It is even higher than goodness also. Pure goodness, that is called Shuddha Sattva. It is also called Vasudeva Sthiti. Vasudeva Sthiti. And in that state, Vasudev can be understood. Because Krishna can be understood in the Vasudeva Sthiti, he is called Vasudev. Of course, Krishna's father is also Vasudev. So that is also another meaning. So because he is understood in this Vasudeva Sthiti, he is called Vasudeva. Now, therefore, Shuddha Sattva, as described in this verse, is the transcendental position which is technically called Vasudev. Vasudev is also the name of the person from whom Krishna appears. This verse explains, you see, even if I am doing this, the software is just messing up. Okay. This verse explains that the pure state is called Vasudev because in that state, Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealed without any covering. In the Vasudev Sthiti, oh Krishna, again. I'm so sorry. This software is just Krishna, you see, when I want to stop, it doesn't stop. I'm very sorry. This is a real challenge. You see, to execute unadulterated devotional service, therefore, see, again, Krishna, this is like, oh my goodness, I'm very sorry about this. Anyway, I'll just explain it. I don't care for this now. So, in unadulterated devotional service, one is understood to be in the Shuddha Sattva platform or Vasudeva platform, and the spiritual master is on that platform, and therefore he is so that is called Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva, because in that stage the Supreme Person Krishna is revealed in the heart of the devotee. Srila Jiva Goswami has very nicely described this Vasudeva or Shuddha Sattva in his Bhagavat Sandarbha. He explains that Ashtottara Shata 108 is added to the name of the spiritual master to indicate one who is situated in Shuddha Sattva or in the transcendental state of existence or Vasudeva. The word Vasudeva is also used for other purposes. For example, Vasudeva also means one who is everywhere or all pervading. The sun is also called Vasudeva Shabditam. So, it has many meanings. So, the word Vasudev may be utilized for different purposes, but whatever purpose we adopt, Vasudev means the all-pervading or localized Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita 7.19, it is also stated Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So impersonalists, they like to use this other meaning of Vasudev and Vasudev, which means all-pervading. So like the sun is also called Vasudeva Shabditam. But here, it is talking about especially Krishna. So that's why Sanskrit, you see how complicated it can be. If you are not guided by a spiritual master, you can churn out these other meanings, which is all-pervading Brahman. One can come to this impersonal conclusion again. So these are the pitfalls if we don't take shelter of a spiritual master. But again, coming back to the point, so Ashtottara Shata is a number reserved for those people who are in the Shuddha Sattva platform. Now, I have seen one bogus guru who is not in ISKCON, who is who also teaches about Radha Krishna, but he always talks about this Ras Leela and all this very high platform devotional service. It is actually Sahajiya. He was also caught for some illicit sexual connections with women. So his name has something else. Before his name they put Ashtottara Sahasra. Sahasra means 1000. Just he wanted to be something greater than everybody else, I think. So they put 1008. So Ashtottara Sahasra. So, but as far as we understand, there is no such. There may be, I don't know, maybe another part of scriptures, maybe there is Ashtottara Sahasra. But he wanted to be more than, Srila Prabhupada, because here is Ashtottara Shata. He wanted to be Ashtottara Sahasra, 1008. So, but that is not bona fide, because Jiva Goswami has said 108 is for Shuddha Sattva, and there is nothing more than Shuddha Sattva. So, that is the understanding. So, that is Ashtottara Shata. Then we will go back to the Shri Srimad. So, Shri means full of opulence. So, one who is blessed by the goddess of fortune. So, anybody who is a devotee will be blessed by the goddess of fortune. Just like we have already understood that in the name Srila. Srila means Shri and Leela. Shri means one who is blessed by the goddess of fortune, and Leela means one whose activities are actually pastimes, because all are in devotional service to Krishna. So, Shri means one who is blessed by the goddess of fortune, just like Rukmini. She was fanning, in fact, not just blessed. She was fanning, she was serving Sudama, Vipra. So, this is the position of devotees. So, they are favored by the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi ji. Shri Srimad. Srimad means beautiful. Another meaning of Shri is also beautiful. Srimad means filled with beauty. Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad means beautiful Bhagavatam. So, similarly here, Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad. The beautiful personality. Every devotee especially a pure devotee, is the most beautiful personality. He is so attractive. A pure devotee is always very, very attractive. So, Shri Srimad, beautiful. Abhaya Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, we already learned the meaning of Srila Prabhupada's name. I hope you remember still all the meanings of each of those words of Prabhupada's name. His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charanarvinda, Bhaktivedanta, Swami, Prabhupada, and also the word Srila. So, I hope you remember all that. If you don't, you watch back the lecture, which is the first episode of this Strengthening Foundation series. So, this is the meaning of the first. And then everybody says, Ki Jai. Ki means, in Hindi, Ki means two. So, the order appears differently in English than in Hindi and Bengali. So, Ki means two. So, Jai means all glories. All glories to Om Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Divine. So, in English, all glories to comes first, whereas in Hindi it comes last. Ki Jai. So, everybody says Jai. So, everybody must, all the devotees who are paying obeisances, they should say Jai. So, that means all glories to Ki Jai. So, then the next, Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. So, our spiritual master is called Guru, and the Guru's Guru is called Paramaguru. Paramaguru. His Guru is called Parapara Guru, then Mahaguru, Parameshta Guru, and then Mahaguru. So, like this there are, so his Guru, his Guru, his Guru, his Guru. So, like that the address goes. So, Guru means our Guru is Srila Prabhupada, and Paramaguru is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now, it is good to also know the meaning of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the whole word, the whole name. but I think we will not go into depth in this particular session. So that is for maybe you can find out yourself. But if you want briefly, then I can just say like this. So Siddhanta Saraswati was the title he got when he was an astronomical genius, astrological genius in his youth. Then the scholarly community, they awarded him the title Siddhanta Saraswati. Siddhanta means philosophy and Saraswati means who is blessed by Saraswati, the goddess of learning. So he was so intelligent. So he was blessed by Saraswati. So that's why he is called Siddhanta Saraswati. So then his initiated name, when he got initiated by Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji, so his initiated name was Varshabhanavi Daita Das. Varshabhanavi Daita Das. So that means Varshabhanavi means Radharani and Daita means servant, Das. So servant of Radharani. So that is his name, Varshabhanavi Daita Das. But then when he took sannyas, then his name became, the Siddhanta Saraswati was there, and then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So Siddhanta means philosophy, Bhakti means devotion. So the devotional philosophy, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So one who has realized the devotional philosophy, not just philosophy, like there are many impersonalists, they also understand some philosophy. Even materialists have their own philosophy. Everybody have their own philosophy of life. But Bhakti Siddhanta is the highest philosophy. The philosophy of devotional service to Krishna, that is the highest. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. Goswami means the master of the senses, and Thakur also means a master. Thakur is reserved for pure devotees. So Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, or Prabhupada, same. So these titles are reserved for exalted devotees. Maharaj, sannyasi is also called Maharaj. It means a king. It means he is actually a king, because just like in the Bible it is said, what profited the man who has won the whole world but has lost his eternal soul? So even if one is a big king in this world who has conquered everything, but who has not conquered his senses and who has not understood himself, the soul, then he is actually a lost man. He is not a king. He is a lost fellow. He is a vagabond actually. But a real king, a real hero is one, this is a spiritual hero, that is a material hero. Material hero is one who conquers and who has many women, but he is actually lost. But a spiritual hero is who conquers his senses. He is the real king. So a sannyas, a Goswami, a Swami, means master of his senses, is called Maharaj for that reason. So because he is the real king, because he has conquered over the senses. So Maharaj, Prabhupada means we have already studied. So Ki Jai, again all glories to Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Ananta means unlimited. Ananta. Anta means end. And Anta means end. Ananta means opposite. There is no end. Unlimited. So that is Ananta. Ananta Koti. Koti means 10 million. 1 crore. 1 crore. Koti means 1 crore, which is equal to 10 million. Ananta Koti. That means unlimited millions of Vaishnava Vrinda. Vaishnava means devotees. Vrinda means group. It means all the group of devotees. Why it is said Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai? That means all glories to the unlimited millions of Vaishnavas. You can see the meaning here. All glories to the unlimited millions of Vaishnavas. Why? Where are the millions of Vaishnavas? We see only maybe a handful of Vaishnavas in the temple and nobody coming to the temple also. Then why we are saying like this? So it is to be understood that this material world is Ekpad Vibhuti, 1/4 of Krishna's and total energy. The Tripad Vibhuti, which is the 3/4 energy, is in the spiritual world. And in the spiritual world, everybody is a devotee. In this material world, we can't count the number of living entities in this room, or in your room, or in this room here. I am one person as a human being in this room, yes, but there are so many germs and everybody, millions of living entities in this one room. We can't even count. And how to calculate the number of living entities on the earth? The plants, the grass, each grass is a different living entity, and each insect, each small ant is a different, and there are so many microbes. Nobody can even calculate the number of living beings on this earth. Now, there are millions and billions of such planets in this one universe. No one can count the number of living beings. And there are millions of such universes. So we can never understand even the number of living beings in this material world. But all the living entities in the material world are just 1/4 of the total number of living beings. Because the material world is only 1/4 of the total creation. The remaining 3/4 is in the spiritual world, where everybody is all the time a devotee, Nitya Siddha. So just imagine, all of them are Vaishnavas. And those devotees who come into this world, like Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, all the acharyas, when they come into this world and then they spread the glories, they are all pure devotees. And also all the demigods, they are also Vaishnavas. They are not pure devotees, but they are Vaishnavas. So, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. That means all glories to all these unlimited numbers of Vaishnavas that exist in existence, that are in existence. So we are offering obeisances to all of them, all the devotees. So that is the meaning of Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. So Vrinda means group, like. Then Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. So this is the, kindly remember, this is the short version of the Prema Dhvani prayers. So there is a longer version. We can go through that also. But we will go through the short version first, and then we will add those other things which are not there in the short version when we visit the long version. So Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur, we know, is a great devotee. He is actually incarnation of Lord Brahma, and who was Haridas Thakur during Chaitanya Leela, during Gaur Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So he used to chant 300,000 names daily, which amounts to 192 rounds on the mala. So that is the supreme vow of Haridas Thakur. And because he had such an uncommon vow of chanting, he is called Namacharya. Nama means the holy name. Acharya means the authority of the holy name, the professor of the holy name, as Srila Prabhupada also translated sometimes. Acharya. The Acharya, the Guru, who can award the holy name to everybody. So all glories to the Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur. He was also born in a Muslim family, but he was the greatest of the chanters of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proved that this our religion, our Hare Krishna religion, is not making any distinction. Whether one comes in this family or that family, any religion, any caste, any color, any creed, they are all welcome. So the Namacharya, the greatest authority on the holy name, came from a Muslim family, but it doesn't matter at all. In fact, because he was coming from a Muslim family, in Jagannath Puri, he was always in Jagannath Puri. So they did not used to allow him inside the Jagannath temple, because that time also the rule was there 500 years ago, where only Hindus will be allowed. Even now also, the same thing. So because he was from a Muslim family, he was always not allowed to go into the Jagannath temple. But that same Jagannath is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to visit his home. He doesn't need to go to visit the home of Jagannath, the temple. Jagannath himself, in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, used to come to his home and bring the prasadam, and he used to talk so much, and they used to have wonderful conversations. And even when Srila Haridas Thakur passed away, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lifted his body and danced in ecstasy, and they were all chanting and dancing in ecstasy, in separation. And there was a big roaring kirtan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, God himself, Jagannath himself, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's form, he was holding Haridas Thakur's body. Just look at that. So this is Haridas Thakur. So of course his life is very, very glorious. One can read the Chaitanya Charitamrita. One can know the glories of Haridas Thakur. In fact, we have also composed, not composed, who are we to compose? We just compiled all the whole life of Haridas Thakur in one article in our magazine, Science of Godhead. It's a very beautiful article. We compiled from this Chaitanya Charitamrita only. And also some incidences from Chaitanya Bhagavat. So in this way, we are saying all glories to Namacharya Haridas Thakur. Then, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai. Prem se kaho means say. Prem se means with love. Say with love. call out with love, you see the meaning, call out with love the names Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Sri Gadadhar, Srivas, and all the devotees, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Again, Vrinda means group of devotees. All the devotees of Gaura Bhakta. Gaura means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is saying, call out with love Sri Krishna, the Panchatattva. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, that means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, and Srivas Pandit. So these 5. So call out to them with love and all glories to them. Ki Jai. Then Shri Shri Radha Krishna, Gopa Gopinath, Shyamakunda Radhakunda, Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. This is the entire description of Vrindavan. Shri Shri Radha Krishna. So there are 2 names, Radha and Krishna. So when they are together, Radha Krishna. So instead of saying Shri Radha Shri Krishna, we say Shri Shri Radha Krishna. So that is the proper way. And also, the energy of Krishna must be addressed first. The pleasure potency of, just like we say Sita Ram, Lakshmi Narasimha, Lakshmi Narayana, Sita Ram, Radha Krishna, Rukmini Krishna. So like this, Radha Krishna. So Shri Shri Radha Krishna, the beautiful couple Radha and Krishna. Shri means beautiful, Shri means opulent. So both apply to them. Shri Shri Radha Krishna. Gopa. Gopa means the cowherd boys. Gopi means the cowherd girls. Go means cow. Why Gopa means cowherd boys? Gopalaka. So they, Gopal for example. So they take care of the cows. So they are cowherd boys. Go means cow. Gopa means cowherd boy. Those boys who tend cows. So Krishna was performing his early pastimes with the Vaishyas. Nanda Maharaj and all of them were Vaishyas. And then later on he went to Mathura, Dwarka, and did the duties of a Kshatriya. So in the form of Vaishya, in the role of a Vaishya, he taught the importance of protecting cows, and in the role of a Kshatriya, he highlighted the importance of protecting Brahmanical culture. So Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. If the Hitaya means Namo Brahmanya Devaya. He worships the Brahmanas. Namo Brahmanya Devaya. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. He is always looking after the welfare of the Go and Brahmana, the welfare of the cows and the Brahmanas. Because if you just worry about the welfare of these 2 classes of living beings, the cows and the Brahmanas, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagad Hitaya, the whole universe will be taken care of if we take care of cows and Brahmins. The very 2 things which are missing in today's civilization. Cows are slaughtered, Brahmins are shut up. No, you don't preach, they are considered irrelevant people who don't know what they are doing. Just let them do. Okay, they are believers of some religion, let them do whatever they want. They don't take them as advisors and take advice from the Brahmanas. Whereas Rajarshis, the kings who were saintly, they always consulted the Brahmanas first. What should I do? And the Brahmanas used to tell them, and they used to follow the Brahmanas. But now nobody cares about what Brahmanas say. And so nowadays also Brahmanas, they say seminal. That is actually not. That means by birth I am Brahman. That is also rubbish. That is not a Brahmana. But Brahmana means by qualification. Guna, karma, vibhagashaha. By quality and work. So anyway, coming back to the point. Gopa. Gopa means cowherd boy. And Gopi means cowherd girls. Now Gopa Gopinath. That means Nath means the Lord. The Lord of the cowherd boys and the cowherd girls. The Gopas and the Gopis. So with the Gopas he used to go to the forests, pasturing grounds with the cows, and there he used to kill many demons, Krishna. And all the cowherd boys, millions of them, used to play with them. They used to have nice sporting activities. So there is the Gopas and Gopis with whom he performed the Rasa dance, Ras Leela, and also many other Leelas. The best Gopi being Srimati Radharani herself. So he is the Nath, he is the Lord of the Gopas and the Gopis. So Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda. So all glories to Radha Krishna and Gopa Gopinath, the Lord of the Gopas and Gopis, Krishna. And then now all glories to Shyamakunda, the lake called Shyamakunda. If you go to Vrindavan, you can see the Shyamakunda and Radha Kunda side by side. So Shyamakunda, Radha Kunda, Giri Govardhan. Giri means mountain or hill. Govardhan, the Govardhan hill. I think all devotees who have gone to Vrindavan, they do the Govardhan Parikrama, circumambulate the Govardhan hill. So Govardhan hill is non-different from Krishna himself. So all glories to all these different holy places in Vrindavan, and all glories to Radha and Krishna and the Lord of the Gopis and the Gopas. That is the meaning of Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki Jai. All glories. Sri Mayapur Dham ki Jai. Dham means a holy place of pilgrimage. Dham. Mayapur Dham. So some of you must have gone to Mayapur. So the birth site of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Mayapur Dham ki Jai. All glories to Mayapur Dham. Sri Mathura Dham ki Jai. All glories to Mathura, the birthplace of Krishna. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. The all glories to Vrindavan Dham, where Krishna performed his childhood pastimes. Sri Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jai. All glories to Jagannath Puri Dham. Ganga Mai ki Jai. Mai means mother. Ganga is the river Ganga. So it is Mother Ganga ki Jai. All glories to Mother Ganga. She is a mother. Then Yamuna Mai ki Jai. Mother Yamuna ki Jai. So rivers are always female and ocean is male, Samudra. So the rivers are considered the wives of the ocean in that way. So anyway, so Yamuna Mai ki Jai. So why? Ganga is coming from the lotus feet of Krishna, a holy river. If you know the pastime, Vamanadev, when he, Bali Maharaj, he was the ruler of the three worlds. Then he was actually from the demon family, and he usurped the demigod's kingdom, and Indra was left without a kingdom. And Bali Maharaj, so Vamanadev, Krishna came in the form of Vamanadev, and in the form of a dwarf, Brahmana, he came to the sacrifice of Ashwamedha Yajna, on 100th Ashwamedha Yajna. So if 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas, that means horse sacrifice. Horse sacrifice? Yeah. If a person performs 100 horse sacrifices, he can become Indra. So he already did 99. So 100th he was going to do. So then Indra became very, he was fully tensed. He was stressed up. So Vamanadev came to, okay, I will settle the matter. So he went to the sacrificial arena. So in these sacrifices, not a single mistake should be performed. In chanting the mantras, in all the rituals, no mistake should happen. And also when Brahmanas come, they must be given in charity whatever they ask. So if any Brahmana is not satisfied, the sacrifice will not be fruitful. So in that way, everything had to be done perfectly. So Bali Maharaj was doing the sacrifice, and all very great sages were there. Then Vamanadev came. He was like a dwarf, He was very small in size, but he was so bright that when he entered the arena, the effulgence of every Brahmana, all the sages looked very bright faced. But when Vamanadev came, but his brightness was so bright, but that all the others became very dull in comparison. All the other great sages of the universe, very, very powerful sages, became dull in comparison. So, and then Bali Maharaj saw, wow, this is very nice, great sage who has blessed me. So then he asked him, what do you want? What I can give you in charity? He said, I just want three steps of land. That means my steps are very small. I am a dwarf, so my feet are very small in size. So I want that much land in which I can put 3 of my steps. So Bali Maharaj said, I am the master of the 3 worlds, heaven, earth and hell. The whole universe is under my command. I'm the master of the three worlds and you're asking me three steps? This is insult, Please ask whatever you want. Then Vamanadev said, if a Brahmana is not satisfied with 3 steps of land, he can never be satisfied with the 3 worlds also. So in other words, he is saying greed is very bad. So in that way, he spoke as a nice Brahmana. But then when he, all right, you choose where you want those 3 steps worth of land, and you can take. Since that is what you want, I can give that without problem. Then Bali Maharaj was very surrendered, but Shukracharya saw. Shukracharya was the guru of Bali Maharaj. So Shukracharya saw, this is Vishnu, he is cheating you. He counseled this Bali Maharaj. Bali, you see, now you are going to be cheated. This person is not just an ordinary Brahmana, he is Vishnu himself. He is known for cheating the Asuras. That the nectar came from the ocean, Asuras and Devatas, they churned nicely. After all the hard work, he cheated the Asuras and gave to the Devas. Every time he cheats the Asuras, and always he favors the demigods, the Devatas. Again he has come with some plan. So you don't give him anything. Then Bali Maharaj actually was the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was a great devotee. And Bali Maharaj also was a great devotee. So he saw and he rejected his stupid guru. What nonsense you're talking? If Krishna is coming, if this is Krishna himself, let it be, na. That is the whole goal. Our whole goal of life is to offer everything to Vishnu. If this is Vishnu himself, then I am the most blessed. No. Your kingdom, your whole 3 worlds, this kingdom will be gone. And if your kingdom will be gone, then who will give me food, He was thinking like this. So he said, no, don't give, all our maintenance is gone, your kingdom will be gone. So be it. Bali Maharaj was although he was conquered the whole, 3 worlds and he was supposed to become Indra, but still, he was so detached at the same time. So if this is Vishnu and if he wants to take everything, so be it. So anyway, so he asked Vishnu, please, you take where you want the land. Immediately the dwarf, the small feet, the Lord dwarf, now he expanded himself. So big that with 1 foot he covered the entire earth. Entire earth gone. Second foot, he extended towards the sky, and the entire sky with all the planets and everything was conquered in the 2 steps. The entire universe was conquered in just 2 steps. Finished. Now Vamanadev said, you have promised me 3 steps. Now only 2 steps finished. Where should I keep the 3rd? Then Bali Maharaj said, since this is my property, so the owner is considered greater than the property. So the 3rd step is my head only. Where else? Keep it on my head. Then in that way, Vamanadev put his 3rd step on his head, and in that way Bali Maharaj became one of the greatest devotees of the Lord. One of the 12 greatest devotees in the universe. So when that 2nd step he put in the sky, that foot penetrated the coverings of the universe. The universe is like a shell, tightly packed shell. No light from the Brahma Jyoti can enter the universe. That's why the universe is dark, and therefore it requires the sun to illuminate it. The sun is just like a dim reflection of the Brahma Jyoti. So that's why then, just like night, when there is night, we require an artificial lamp. But if you're in the day, we don't need to require any lamps. The sun is so bright. So Brahma Jyoti is like that, so bright. But when the universe is like a tightly packed shell with 7 layers, earth, which is, the size is unimaginable. It is said that this universe is 4 billion miles in diameter. 4 billion miles in diameter. That is the space within the universe. But the shell is covered with a ring of or a shell of earth. The size, the width of that covering is 10 times the radius of the, means 2 billion miles is the radius, 20 billion miles is the thickness of the this earth layer, and that is covered with water layer, which is 10 times the covering of the earth layer. That means 200 billion miles, and that is covered with 2000 billion, that means 2 trillion miles of fire, and then water, which is even 10 times more than fire, and then ether, which is 10 times more than air. So in this way, very, very tightly packed shell. And when the second step, when he put his step there, his toes penetrated all this covering and went to the, what is outside the shell? The causal ocean, the Karana ocean, on which Mahavishnu is sleeping. And then from his pores, you see the picture, from his pores universes are emanating, millions and trillions of universes. And in that water, what is that water called? That is called the Karana ocean, Karanodaka ocean, Karanarnava. So Karanarnava Shai Vishnu. So Karanarnava, so the causal ocean, which is also called in other words Viraja river. So the water from that ocean dripped into this universe. Dripped into this universe. Because of that hole that was created by Vamanadev's leg. And dripping, when we say drip, it looks like one drip from the tap, like drop by drop. But the force of that water was so intense that Lord Shiva volunteered to take the force on his head, because no one else. If the water was just allowed to come in, it would just completely dissolve the universe. So forceful. When we say dripping from the causal ocean, we can't say just like like one drop it is falling. No. That drop is so forceful, there's such a big drop, like dripping, that the force of the drop would just completely, when you water jet something, everything is just like scattered. So like that, the entire material world, all the planets would have been just scattered with the force of that water. So Lord Shiva took it on his head. What is that? Ganga taranga ramaniya jatakalapam Gauri nirantara vibhushita vama bhagam Narayana priyamananga madapaharam Varanasi purapatim bhaja Vishwanatham. So Vishwanath, Lord Shiva, he is Ganga taranga ramaniya jatakalapam. He is holding, it is usually Shiva is shown like Ganga is coming from his head. No, it is not coming from his head. It is falling from the causal ocean, the Karana ocean, and bouncing off. And now it is of a slower pace. So he is taking that force. So you see how many things he is doing. He held the poison in his kantha, Nilakantha, and he took the force of the Ganga. Without Lord Shiva, all this cannot be done. Nobody could have done it in this material world. So anyway, that is Ganga Mayi. And this Ganga comes from it flows in all the heavenly planets, and then it comes to the earthly planet, and it also flows in the hellish planets also. Now you may say, no, Ganga is starting from the Himalayas. Yeah, that is what is visible to the human eye. But it is said that airplanes, gigantic airplanes, invisible to our naked eye, they carry this water of the Ganga from the heavenly planets, the rivers, to the earthly planets, to the glacier at the Himalayas where it actually starts. So it's heavenly airplanes which bring the Ganga from other planet. So in this way, Ganga is flowing in all three worlds, and in the heavenly planets it is called Mandakini. Here it is called Ganga, and in the hellish planets the same river is called Bhogavati. So in this way she has three names. So anyway, Ganga Mayi ki Jai, the water which has, this is actually Ganga means it's a Charanamrita. What is Charanamrita? Charana Amrita. Charana means the lotus feet of Krishna. Amrita means the water that has washed his lotus feet, which is now nectar. Amrita means nectar. Charana Amrita, Charana Amrita, the water which has washed the lotus feet of the Lord. So Ganga, because of being touched by the toe of the Vamanadev, the Lord, what is that? Nice verse in the Dashavatara Stotra. I forgot. So nice verse, Vamanadev. I forget the Sanskrit. So I think maybe somebody can leave the comment there. So we will revisit that verse at the end. So for the purification of the fallen souls, he has done that. He has pierced the shell of the universe and let Ganga flow down. So that's why the Ganga is so glorious. It is the Charanamrita of the Lord. So if you take Ganga water and it is Ganga Jal, it is actually the Charanamrita of the Lord. Then Yamuna Mayi ki Jai, Yamuna river is also very glorified, because Krishna personally had all his pastimes in Vrindavan on the banks of the Yamuna river. Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaridhari, Yashodanandana, Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is sung. Before the Bhagavad Gita class, we always sing this song. Yamuna Tira means on the banks of the Yamuna, Vanachari, Krishna is always wandering. So there is one quote from, I think, Varaha Puran, I think. So there is a shloka saying that Ganga is so pure because it has come from the lotus feet of the Lord. Now Yamuna is 100 times more pure than Ganga because Krishna has personally enacted his pastimes on the banks of the Yamuna, and also he danced on the Kaliya Nag, the Kaliya serpent. We have the painting in the temple here. So that Kaliya serpent, so that is from in the Yamuna river. So many. In fact, after the Rasa Leela, they all went to the Yamuna river and then they had water sports. So Krishna was always attached to Yamuna. So in that way, Yamuna is even more glorified than Ganga. So Yamuna Tira Vanachari. So Yamuna Mai ki jai. So Mother Yamuna ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. All glories to Bhakti Devi, the personification of devotion. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Tulasi, we have read the Mahima or the glories of Tulasi Devi. Actually, I want to do a third part of the glories of Tulasi Devi, which is probably tomorrow, because there are some unfinished, and how to take care of the Tulasi Devi. Like what is the Tulasi Devi's, what she does in the spiritual world, a little bit of understanding of that as well. Because we know the story of what happened here in the material world, but what is her position actually in the spiritual world? What is the eternal service like? There is a little bit of information available on that as well. So we will visit that tomorrow, part 3. And also how to take care of the Tulsi plant. So we can see the Prabhupada's instructions on that. Then, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Samaveta means assembled. Samaveta means assembled. Bhakta Vrinda, the group of devotees who have assembled for the kirtan, ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Chant the names of Hari Hari in the ecstasy of Chaitanya Prema. Gaur Prema. Gaur Premanande. Anande means in the bliss of Prema. In the bliss of Gaura Prema, in the bliss of love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, chant Hari Hari. Bol means say. Hari Bol. We say Hari Bol. What is the meaning of Hari Bol? Bol means say. Hari means Hari's name. Say Hari. It means say the name of Hari. Hari Bol. That is the meaning of Hari Bol. So Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So, and then all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Then everybody says Hare Krishna. So all glories to the assembled devotees is the same as Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, but it is said in English. And all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So Sri Guru means Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He is the Adi Guru, the Supreme Guru. Because he is Balaram. Balaram is the original Guru. And Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga means Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga means Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaur Nitai. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is the short version. In the long version, there are a few more. This is the long version. Jayam Vishnupada Paramhamsa. And they also say this ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, the founder Acharya of the ISKCON. ISKCON, I hope all devotees know the full form of ISKCON. International Society for Krishna Consciousness. ISKCON. So, here in the long form, there is also Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya for Prabhupada, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and also then Gaur Kishodas Babaji, Jayam Vishnupada Srila Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Jayam Vishnupada Srila Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, and then Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. So this is our parampara, like the 5 acharyas in the last 5 of the parampara in the 32. Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Gaur Kishodas Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji. Some devotees I know, they don't know this order, like who is the guru of who and their names they don't know. So please memorize all these things. These are basics of devotional service. We have to know our sampradaya, our acharyas. Even by chanting their name, we become purified. By chanting a devotee's name, a pure devotee's name, we get purified. So please learn these names by heart. So, And then Jai Sri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sri Shad Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. So the 6 Goswamis who are the direct disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This also, I think some devotees don't know the names. So please learn all the names. At least you should know who are the 6 Goswamis. So Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva, Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Das Raghunath, Raghunath Das Goswami. So these are the 6 Goswamis. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. So Sri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath. Shad Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Shad Goswami means Shat means 6. Goswami means all the Goswamis. 6 Goswamis. Shad Goswami. Shat means 6, but in the sandhi of Shat and Goswami, Shat becomes Shad. Shad Goswami. The 6 Goswamis. नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. Then we have Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. And then one may glorify the deities of the temple also. Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Gaur Nitai Bhagwan ki jai, Sri Prahlad Narasimhadev Bhagwan ki jai, like this. And then all the dham, all the Mayapur, Mathura, Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri Dham, Ganga Mai, Yamuna Mai, Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani, and then Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. All glories to the Harinam Sankirtan. Sankirtan means congregational chanting of. So all glories to the congregational chanting of the Lord Hari's holy names. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam. Grantharaj means all glories to the king of books. Grantha means book. Grantharaj means the king of all books, all scriptures. Srimad Bhagavatam. So Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Okay, this is something which we don't follow. This actually I took it from ISKCON, so therefore it is there. All glories to the present gurus of ISKCON. No. That is bogus. They should. The Prabhupada never authorized this, so we don't say that. Samaveta Bhaktavrinda. Samaveta Bhaktavrinda. Actually, Samaveta Bhaktavrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembly bodies, and the rest we know. So this is called the Premadhvani prayers. So I hope you have a better understanding now. So if you have any questions, we can address now. So otherwise, that is the end of the session. Let's see if you have some questions. So we have questions from Venkatesh Prabhu. Previous acharyas also used to be called as Prabhupada, is it? So sometimes they are known as Thakur, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was called Prabhupada, and Rupa Goswami, all the acharyas, 6 Goswamis were also known as Prabhupada. In fact, sometimes you will see Prabhupada mentioning as Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. He uses the word Prabhupada for Rupa Goswami. So this word Prabhupada was there. Yes, all these acharyas can be called Prabhupada. But were they called Prabhupada? I do not know if Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all of them were called Prabhupada, but they were definitely called Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also called as 7th Goswami, the 7th Goswami. He was so exalted that he can be compared to no other than the 6 Goswamis themselves. So he was known as the 7th Goswami. So they were called Thakur. Thakur is also another word for such a pure devotee, Thakur, master. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, sometimes is called Thakur and sometimes called Goswami Prabhupada, Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada, it's like that. So yeah, so Prabhupada can be used for all of them. Brajkishore Prabhu. So is it wrong to address anyone with the prefix Sripad who is not an Acharya? In ISKCON, devotees often address Aindra Prabhu like that. So yes, usually for like devotees, general devotees, Shriman is used. That is the proper address. Shriman we can say, but Shripad means the opulent lotus feet of that personality. Shripad means. So Shripad is used for, as we have read previously, So it is used for such exalted devotees. So sometimes, as he said, they make these kinds of things, but we should not invent all these things. We should, among the general devotees, we should, Sriman or something like that. We can, His grace, like Prabhupada is, His divine grace. For devotees, His grace. So in Sanskrit, it will become Sriman, like that. So yeah, Shripad should be used. Prabhupada used it for Shripad Sankaracharya, Shripad Ramanujacharya, Shripad Madhvacharya, like that. So this is for such exalted acharyas, So it is better to use only for such devotees. Because, without, from an impartial judgment, impartial vision, this Ayendra Prabhu, he spoke things which were like, yes, he did kirtan, he did deity worship, but he also spoke things which are like too high level bhakti, all this kind of like sahajiya kind of talk. It was done by Andhra Prabhu also. So Prabhupada did not talk like that. So like he said, like you join my kirtan party and I will take you to Radharani. If you want to join the Raslila, you join my kirtan party. So these kind of things he used to say. And then when he was teaching the deity worship, he said that you should imagine your hands are like the gopis' hands. You should not think of your hands like a man's hands, like delicately you have to deal. So he was like that kind of thing, which was not, all those things were not told by Prabhupada. So now we are into Vaidhi Bhakti, we are not into that, Raganuga Bhakti. So Srila Prabhupada, as Srila Prabhupada has revealed to us, we should do like that. We should not overdo it and then try to act like someone very pure devotee, and so that is not good. And we have seen such behavior with Ayendra Prabhu. So some devotees may not like that to hear this, but it is just a fact. So what more can we do? If he has done that, we have to tell that he has done that. So that is. So Shripad, it is only advisable to use for such great acharyas. So question by Shri: when are the Premadhvani prayers chanted specifically? When would you recommend us to chant them? No, if you see in the temple, after the arati, after the kirtan, when everybody bows down, then the lead singer or the temple president, they will chant, and then everybody says ki jai, like that. So that is when it is chanted. Everybody, when they are paying their obeisances after the arati and kirtan. Then verse from the Dashavatara Stotra: Chalaya Vikramane Balimadbhuta Vamana Padanakha Rajanita Jana Pavana Keshavadhrita Vamana Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare. Chalayasi Vikramane Balim. Chalayasi means he cheated cheated Bali Maharaj. Adbhuta Vamana, the beautiful, the wonderful Vamana Dev. Padanakha means the toe, nails. Nakha means the nails. Pada means the feet nails, means the toe nails. Padanakha Neera means water. With the toe nails, he pierced the covering of the universe and brought the Nakha Neera Janita Jana Pavana. He has brought the water for the purification of the entire world. So see how Krishna does, this way is called Urukrama. Urukrama means uncommon activities, so great. So while he was taking saving Indra from this Bali Maharaj and cheating Bali Maharaj and taking away all the kingdom, the whole entire universe from him, he is also at the same time thinking of our welfare, that in the future people can bathe themselves in the Ganga and drink Ganga Jal and be purified. So he is doing that also at the same time. As he was cheating Bali Maharaj, he also brought down the Ganga for the benefit of the common population. So this is Padanakha Neera Janita Jana Pavana. Pavana means for the purification. Keshava Dhrita. Keshava, he is actually Lord Keshava, but Dhrita Vamana Rupa. He has accepted the Vamana Rupa. Vamana means dwarf. Vamana Rupa, Jai Jagadisha Hare, the Lord of the universe. All glories to the Lord of the universe. So Vishwambar, thank you Vishwambar Prabhu for this input. So Anand Mishra Prabhu is asking one question: is there spiritual connection between Mother Ganga and the other major rivers on earth? For example, Nile, Euphrates or Yangtze River in China. I would presume so, but was inquisitive whether there are any references in the scriptures. Hare Krishna. So there are the Sapta, the 7 holy rivers. Other rivers are not considered so holy. In fact, there is a nice incident where Srila Prabhupada went to London. So there he saw the river Thames. So Thames, because there are so many English poets, because he was brought up in British India. So all the British poets would, sometimes mention river Thames in their poems. So as if it's like a very, very beautiful, very nice river. So when Prabhupada actually went to London and saw the river Thames, is this a river that they are glorifying? What is this? So, in other words, those rivers are not as holy and they are not as nice to look at also actually. They are just some brown river which is like nothing special. But if you see Ganga and Yamuna, is very nice. Of course, Yamuna has been polluted recently with all the industrial waste. So there is a big campaign in the, clean the Yamuna campaign. But all these rivers are very holy rivers. So what are the holy rivers? We chant actually every day, we invite all the holy rivers into the Charanamrita, not Charanamrita, the Achaman cup. Gange cha, Yamune chaiva, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri. So, of course, there are other holy rivers also, like Tungabhadra and Brahmaputra, all the holy rivers are there. But these, especially these 7, are very, very holy rivers. So, other rivers, there is no mention in the Shastra. So, especially in the land of India, in the land of Bharat Bhumi, all the rivers are very, very holy rivers because the Lord had different pastimes there and there are different ways they are connected with the Lord. Whereas there are many other rivers, but they are not the same. They don't have the same piety. So, bathing in those rivers is different from bathing in the Ganga river. So, there is a difference. That's why everything is connected with the Lord. There is speciality. So, why Bharat Bhumi is called Punya Bhumi? It is also land. Other countries, Africa and America, also land. So why India is called Punya Bhumi? Because the Lord actually conducted so many of his pastimes there, and also the culture is still there. Of course, there are also traces of culture, Vedic culture in other parts of the world as well. But especially it is still strong in India. And in fact, many of the incarnations of Krishna actually set foot on the land of India. So it is Punya Bhumi. Similarly, the Punya Nadi also, all the rivers. So there is no special mention of other rivers though. Sri, I have people say Nitai Gaur Premananda. Is that also bona fide? Yeah. So Gaur Premananda or Nitai Gaur Premananda. So Nitai and Gaura Premananda. In love for Nitai and Gaura, Premananda in the bliss of the calling out for them in love, say Hari Hari Bol. Yeah, so it is completely bona fide because when there is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is Nityananda Prabhu. They are inseparable. And also the Panchatattva and Sangopangastra Parshadam. So there is nothing wrong. So one can say Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So I think that those are the questions. Are there any other comments? Anand Mishra Prabhu is saying thank you so much. You're welcome, Prabhuji. And Varaha Puran. According to Varaha Puran, there is no difference between the water of the Ganga and the Yamuna. But when the water of Ganga is sanctified 100 times, it is called Yamuna. You see how this is Varaha Puran is saying. So, yes. So this Ashtottara Sata we have. Kuti Chaka Bahudaka Parivrajagacharya and Paramahamsa are gradual progressive stages in the renounced order of life. Yeah, this is the verse which I wanted to take out, but it never came out. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.10. Nayadvachaschitra padam harer yasho jagat pavitram pragranita karhichit tadvayasam tirthamushanti manasa nayatra hamsa niramantyu shikshaya. So if you see the translation, I'll put the translation here. those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. It is a place of pilgrimage for crows. Crows, their pilgrimage is garbage. So it is said nicely in a more nicer way to hear, a place of pilgrimage for crows, but actually it means garbage. So since all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. So this is the verse, the crows and the swans. So basically this is the topic. So it's quite a simple topic actually, but it is necessary to understand all these prayers, because we are saying Jai Jai Jai. If you don't know what we are saying, what is Jai, what is all those words coming out of the singer's mouth, then then that is not good. So we should know. So tomorrow we will, I think, revisit Tulsi Maharani's glories, third part, where we will learn some other aspects of Srimati Tulsi Maharani and how to take care of her Tulsi plant, which is, I think, important for all the devotees to know. So it will be also, I think, expected to be a shorter session, like something like today, or maybe even shorter, I don't know. So anyway, thank you very much for joining, and अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल.